F1 the movie or Formula One, whatever you want to call it, gives you exactly what the fast-paced engine rumbling trailers promised you. And then it gives you a little more. And then it gives you a little less. Let's talk about it. It's a racing movie. Brad Pitt's Sonny Hayes is hired onto a team with a certain Joshua Pierce to bring a Formula One team from last place to, well, anything higher than that. Tensions between them rise as they try to outdo one another, and they have to learn to work as a team if they want to have any chance of success. Joseph Kosinski directs this directly after Top Gun Maverick, and you can tell right away. The tech here used to capture the speed and sense of place on the track is as sublime as it was in the cockpit of a fighter jet, which isn't a surprise, and we'll talk more about that soon, but what was a surprise? The original soundtrack done by Hans Zimmer. Zimmer brings a soundtrack here that is so different from what I would have come to expect from him. It has more thump, it has more electricity to it, which feels so good and so in sync when the engines are roaring and tires are spinning. The racing here it's great. There's no other way to say it. It's great. And not just because of the technology and the logistical geniuses utilized to create these fantastic scenes, but also stuff like the crew in the background of the race and the cast members there. There's these folks that sit behind the computers that give advice to Pierce and Hayes in the field, and this crew is just so likable. I was smiling every time they came on screen. When we aren't in the driver's seat with Brad Pitt, they are our eyes into the race. They are our ears into the scene, which allows for some great humor, some fun banter, and they were just a blast to watch. I was pleasantly surprised by how much I liked the supporting cast of this film. The editing too loops you into that racing feeling as well. It's cathartic for what feels like in a millisecond, the camera cuts from Brad Pitt clicking a button on the steering wheel and immediately jumping to show the effect that it has on the car, where you see a flap open up and how that affects his speed. It's this tactile tool that the editing process uses to put you in the driver's seat and tell you what's going on without verbally saying it. However, that's really the only time the film will tell you something non-verbally. The other 90% of the film is narrated by these race announcers who sit off screen, but they tell you everything. At first, they're like, look at that, Brad Pitt's coming out the pit so that his tires stay warm or whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's really good to know. Thank you for telling me that, Mr. Announcer. I had no idea that's why he was doing that as someone who doesn't usually watch Formula One. Thanks for the education. But then they don't stop. They say, and now Brad Pitt is passing this other dude. And they do that like 20 times. Like, yeah, I can see that he's passing someone. I'm not 5 years old. And they keep saying stuff like that over and over again when you're supposed to be enjoying the race itself. And it completely takes you out of it. I'm like, dude, shut up. But that's ultimately a minor gripe in the grand scheme of things, for being honest. It does not ruin the great wonder that these races pull off. These races that are constantly going on and crescendoing to something really, really powerful and a well-done final sequence. The last 30 minutes of this movie is spectacular. There's no other way to say it. It's where the music, the camera work, the editing, and the pit crew themselves are firing on all cylinders to bring you solid racing tension at really high speeds. And that speed is the only challenge these characters have to overcome. Going faster than the Red Bull car. It does try for other challenges, putting more obstacles in front of the characters to make the movie interesting. Mainly a competition between Hayes and Pierce, where Hayes is this older seasoned veteran coming in to train this younger guy and boost the team who doesn't really want to be trained. And the film almost gets there. Great performances kind of carry it halfway to the finish line. It's fun to see them banter and try to learn from each other as one person will pick up another's techniques behind the scenes without them knowing. But there's no well-executed moment that I can look to at the movie and say, this is where the relationship started changing. This is the moment that pushes these characters into the team that they're meant to be. Instead, it just happens. It happens. And I know it happens because the announcers tell you it happens. They're on the track and the announcers are like, look at that, they're working as a team now. I'm like, how did we get here? I needed something else. I needed some sort of emotional arc that these characters to put through. And the movie even tries to, at a time, it fakes you out. It pulls a fast one on you halfway through, pun intended. That makes you say, wow, this moment that I'm witnessing right now is not only a good, emotional, character-driven event that makes me want them to win this race, but it takes you by surprise as well. Like, oh, I wasn't expecting the movie to go here. So awesome. This is where the movie really starts, where we have some real motivation here besides just wanting to win. But nope, that out of nowhere, cool, emotional moment is completely resolved and forgotten about 20 minutes later. You could have taken it out of the movie, and the impact would have been the absolute same, except, you know, it wouldn't be a 2-hour and 40-minute movie anymore. Or this other occasion where Brad Pitt looks at the audience about to give his monologue, his big movie monologue, that finally opens up his character to the audience. Why, Sonny Hayes? Why did you come back to Formula One? The audience must know. Turns out the answer is just a slightly different worded version of I like to drive fast. And then we move on without talking about that again for another hour. Let me put it this way. There is no reason that I, as an audience member, am given for wanting these characters to win this race other than just to win? So the business they represent doesn't lose money? Does that sound right to you? Honestly, does that sound right? Do you want a 2-hour and 35-minute movie about a guy who wants to win a race and drive fast? Or do you want something that is even just a little bit more than that? If there is no even slightly deeper reason to drive faster than the guy next to you, what then is this movie giving me that I can't just find in turning on a real Formula One race that I don't have to pay $16 a ticket for? The personal reason that we are behind the wheel is the one thing this movie needed to hook me, to be more than a movie about cars that just go fast. That's why it's hard for anyone to look at Top Gun Maverick and say, oh, it's just a movie about jets, because it did have that hook. But Formula One does try. You can see that it tries. It's not like they threw it out the window altogether. You can see it in the banter. You can see it in the tension of its races, in its more dramatic moments even. But those attempts come and go rather than sticking with you as the film goes on. They're talked about sparingly rather than being unfolded and revealed properly. But the races are great. The music is great. The details that add up to put you in the seat of that car are great. And if that's all you need, you're really gonna dig F1. If you need a bit more than that, you're gonna have to dig a little bit deeper. But what did you think of F1 the movie, or Formula One, or Brad Pitt Drives a Car the movie? I don't know. Or what do you think that the next racing movie that comes out has to do to stand head and shoulders above the ones that came before it and be truly different? Let me know down in the comments below, and for more movie chats like these over a cup of coffee, be sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.